I have recently been rewatching Vampire Diaries because it's a masterpiece, or as my lab demo a few weeks ago said when I said I wish I could just compel him to give me marks and then let me leave the lab, that it is great trash. So welcome to my video ranking the characters from Vampire Diaries. Not gonna lie, I wanted to make this video since I first watched Vampire Diaries. When I told my friends I was rewatching it, they were all like, oh my gosh, Amy, how many times have you watched it now? And I said, well, this is the second. And they were all like, how can you be obsessed with something that you've not watched a million times? But personally, when I love something and I read it or I watch it, I have to leave a gap before I reread it or rewatch it again because it's just so fresh in my mind that it's just not the same. Like, I need to have a gap so I forget things, and then it's more fun to rewatch it. It's more exciting. And with rewatching Vampire Diaries, I remember some things but not heaps of things. So it's like, whoa, I remember what's gonna happen but I don't remember how it happens. And then there's so many things that I'm like, oh my gosh, that happened, I didn't even remember. Like, wow. So it's more fun than if I just knew what was gonna happen straight away. I've rewatched the first 4 seasons, so this character tier video is going to be based on the first 4 seasons, which are the best 4 seasons anyway. So we're just going to ignore the characters that come after that. I know there's so many characters in the Vampire Diaries universe, but I'm basing it on the first 4 seasons. So don't come at me if I miss someone or if I'm judging someone and they have some character development throughout the later seasons. So there is a ridiculous amount of characters in the Vampire Diaries universe. So if I forget someone, sorry about it, they're probably a little bit irrelevant. We have quite a lot of characters that we're going to be ranking, and we've got all our main gals, all our regular fam. We do have a couple of randoms as well, but I'm sure there are people that I am missing. So top tier is icon. This one is self-explanatory. It means they are iconic. They're an icon. We love them. They slay hardcore and they're in the top tier. The next tier is somewhat slay. So they're not a top tier, but we do love them. They just don't hardcore slay. They just somewhat slay. So they're still positive. The next tier is you're okay. So this one's, again, self-explanatory. They're not good. They're not bad. They're just okay. This is probably 0, and the tiers above this would be positive. The tiers below it is negative. So the next tier is our first negative tier, and this one is kinda suck, self-explanatory. The next tier is the bottom tier, and this is white oak steak me. So this is like, they're that bad, they're that feral, we're that off them, that I don't even want them to be white oak staked. I want me to be white oak steak. So there are tiers. Let's get straight into our characters now. This is all based on my personal opinion. So if you have any disagreement, comment it below, but this is law. So I got pictures of each of the characters that I'm going to be ranking from google.com. And I'm just going to do this in no particular order. Alright, so first up we have Caroline Forbes. We're starting out with a bang, straight into the icon tier. We love Caroline Forbes. Caroline's character development when she becomes a vampire, iconic. I love the person she becomes when she becomes a vampire. She really embraces herself, and she's just a good human. Even though she's a vampire and she's technically dead, she's a good person. She has a good heart, she's a good soul. She's funny, she's witty, she's like, she knows, like, she owns that she's annoying, and like that, you know, that girl that like is like the prom committee girl, and she like owns it, and she's not pick me about it, which we will get to the biggest pick me of this whole universe, and I think everyone agrees on this. Next up we have Elijah. I really like Elijah, and I saw this meme once that was like, he's the only person in Vampire Diaries that actually gives off the vibe, or like he portrays someone who is a vampire, and he's the only person who, it was something about like he's the only person who could believably or realistically be a 1,000-year-old vampire. The way he carries himself, the way he speaks, the way he acts, he is a 1,000-year-old vampire, whereas all of the others, like especially Rebecca, they're not. They're just like annoying teenagers, even though they're all like much older than a teenager. He really embodies his 1,000-year-old self. Again, he's a good soul. I like his heart. Like, he's still a fucking savage. And when he was introduced to the show, on my rewatch, I forgot that he was introduced as like a bad person, but he really does have good character development, and I do like him. I like how he, like when Rebecca really, oh, I should add, there will be spoilers in this, obviously. When Rebecca wants the cure, he wants to give it to her because her reason to live a human life and make her life matter and count was a good reason to him. And I kind of want to put him an icon, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay, the next character deserves his own tier. Damon fucking Salvatore. He's going straight into icon. He is a god. He is a god. I'm sorry, Damon Salvatore. Ugh, give me COVID. Another meme that I saw in COVID that was like, I can't relate to anything more. Damon Salvatore. If you know, you know. I want to marry this man. He obviously has a lot of sex appeal, and he's beautiful and so hot. But he's not only in the icon tier because he's gorgeous. His character is a great character. I love that he's witty and funny, and some of the lines he comes up with best lines in the show. He's, yeah, icon tier, no, top tier. Oh, we finally have some dodgy characters. Finally, we started off with a bang. Now we're up to Esther, the original's mum. Like, I don't like her, but is she kind of suck or White Oak steak me? She just gives major sus vibes. She's a sus unit, just creepy. Look, do you know what? I'm gonna say kind of suck, because she did she did have good intentions. She just kind of sucked as a character. Next we have Jenna. I was really off Jenna a few points in throughout the series before she tragically died. Like, she was a good person, so I'm gonna give her a you're okay. The whole thing about how she's like Jeremy and Elena's aunt and should be their caretaker when she's only a couple of years older than them, and she was all like upset when she didn't take care of them properly. It's like, why though? Like, they're old enough to take care of themselves. They don't need a babysitter that's like 3 years older than them. Not that she's 3 years older than them. I think she's maybe like late 20s and they're like late teens. But I don't know, her whole character was just like, but she was a nice human as well, and I did like her with Alaric, so she's okay. Jeremy Gilbert. I like Jeremy, I do, but he's not a slay, so I'm gonna give him a you're okay. Like, when he was in his angsty teen phase, like, no. And he was like obsessed with Vicky, no. And then he becomes a vampire hunter, and then he's randomly all of a sudden ripped and like bulk as hell. Like, what type of steroids did they give this man? Because it takes a lot of years to build that much muscle mass, and what happened right there. Yeah, I liked him with Bonnie, and he was a good person. I liked him with Anna. I actually did like him, but he's just not a slay. Next we have Katerina Petrova. Katerina Petrova, or Catherine. I like Catherine. She's a she-devil bitch. Like, she's not a good human. She's not a good human. But her character, she's a great character. Nina Dobrev, the actress that played Katerina and Elena, really slayed, because when Catherine was on the screen and she looked the same as Elena, you could tell it was Catherine. Like, she had a different energy, a different aura. She really brought out Catherine. She's a great actress, and she really showed it through this role. So I'm gonna give Catherine a somewhat slay, especially because like she was a bitch to Elena, which was really satisfying. Next we have Lexi, and I am a Lexi stan. Lexi was a slay, somewhat slay. We love you, Lexi. Sorry that Damon killed you. Like, it's so bad, but like, Damon can do the most fucked up things and I still love him. Next we have the witch boy and his dad. I'm just gonna put them in one tier, one photo, even though his dad's not in it. I fully forgot his name until I looked up this picture. His name is Luca. It was kind of fucked up the way he died, but his character kind of sucked, so goodbye. Next we have Mason Lockwood. Mason Lockwood was a really good person, and he really cared for Tyler, and he really didn't want to have beef or issues with the vamps. But Damon was just a bitch to him for no apparent reason. But I liked Mason, and I think he deserves to be in somewhat slay. His death was really unfortunate and unnecessary, Damon. Like, seriously. All is forgiven though because you're Damon, but far out. They obviously didn't, his character obviously had nowhere to go. Next is Matt Donovan. Okay, this is going to be controversial because based on the memes that I've seen, apparently everybody hates Matt Donovan, but I actually like Matt. I don't mind Matt, and I kind of like that he stays human the entire time, and I think I'm going to give him a somewhat slay. This is another controversial one because from what I've seen, everyone likes Klaus. I don't know why they make him so redeemable by showing that he has feelings and he actually feels lost, and that's why he kills everyone and fucks people up. Like, he literally drowned Mayor Lockwood and made so many jokes about it to her own son when he was grieving straight after. He's just not a nice person, and I'm gonna say he kind of sucks. And like, they try to make him have sex appeal and be like this hot English accent dude that like has a soft spot for Caroline. No, you're not redeemable. Next we have the original's dad. He is a white oak, stake me, just get him off the screen. And his name is Michael Michelson. Next we have Rebecca Michelson, aka Emma from H2O. Oh, I like her character, I do. She does start out being like an evil bitch. She's a bit tragic. Her character is, you know, that 1,000-year-old vampire that is desperate to be a popular girl at high school. But they do show a lot of character development, and she's been growing on me throughout the last 2-3 seasons, and I'm tossing up between You're Okay and Somewhat Slay. At the end of season 4, which I most recently watched, She has had a big turnaround and she really cares about, she really wants to be human. Oh, but she's a bit tragic and annoying. But then ooh, this one's hard. Do you know what? I'm gonna give her a somewhat slay because she is an original vampire and I really like the backstory of like when they were first made into vampires. And she does have a lot of depth to her character. Next we have Alaric Saltzman. Do you know what? I'm giving him a somewhat slay. I was a stan of Alaric. I really liked Alaric. I liked how he was like the father figure. I love his friendship with Damon. It was really sad when he died. When evil Alaric came back, that was messed up and we don't like evil Alaric, but I liked Alaric. Next we have this kind of irrelevant character, Mason's girlfriend, and she kind of sucked. Next we have Cleo. We have Cleo from H2O. And White Oak Stake Me, I love Cleo, but her as Hayley. No, that's why we have her picture as Cleo here, because she deserves to be remembered as Cleo. She was an icon and a beautiful character, and Hayley in Vampire Diaries was not it. She was not it. She was a bit of a homewrecker with Tyler and Caroline. Her accent, I couldn't get around. I'm not sure if it was just her actress's American accent clashing with the Australian. Couldn't get around every time she spoke, couldn't get around it. And not her thinking that her finding out the identity of her parents was worthy of massacring a lot of people. No, White Oak Stake Me. Next we have Bonnie's deadbeat mum, White Oak Stake Me. Next we have the main character, White Oak Stake Me, Elena Gilbert. Elena Gilbert. No, I can't stand her. She's just the definition of a pick-me, I think that's the best way to say it. So I know the premise of the show is the love triangle between her, Damon and Stefan. I'm glad I put Rebecca in somewhat slay because one of the likable qualities about her is how she just straight up says, why is everyone obsessed with Elena? She straight up is not here for it, she straight up is off it. So we agree with Rebecca. Why is everyone obsessed with Elena? Something that keeps being brought up is like, Elena's just got so much compassion. She's not going to cope with this death because her empathy and compassion is just like unprecedented. It's like most people would feel like that about their dad dying. Most people would feel like that about their brother dying or about their loved one dying. She's not going to feel it more than anyone else, but it's this like whole theme of like that she feels pain more than other people because she's so caring. Like, I'm sorry, but Caroline is so caring. So are a lot of these characters. I don't know why they make it her personality to be like better than everyone else because she's like feels more than everyone else. So the end of season 4, which I just have finished, is her being Elena without her humanity. And she's like a horrible evil person and they're like, we have to save her because when she switches her humanity back on, she won't cope with this, because the reason they make her turn her humanity off is because she can't cope with Jeremy's death. The end of season 3, when Stefan and Damon have this chat about like, she's a special girl, like if she picks one of us, the other one will leave town and let them have it, like because they're like both want to be with her and she can't decide who to be with. Like, I just don't know what they see in her. Like, they keep going on about how she's such a special girl. It's like, why? Like, Caroline's a special fucking girl. I get it if she's stunning and that's your reason to be obsessed with her. Okay, but personality-wise, she does not have anything more to offer than the other females in the show. Like, what is the reason? She also did famously say when she couldn't pick between Damon and Stefan. It's just hard because, like, when I pick one, I lose the other. Like, yes, babe, that's what happens when you make a decision. That's why decisions are hard, because you have to pick something, which means you don't get the other thing. Like, it wasn't like that's a special reason to have the excuse of like stringing 2 guys along or dating 2 brothers at once. No, why do you get away with that? A scene where I did really like Elena was when she first became a vampire and she went and partied with Damon. Her in that place was a vibe, but then she'll be like, oh my god, this isn't me, Damon's like making me be a bad girl. And the whole like hunt for the cure, and it like has to be for Elena because she can't be a vampire. She deserves it so much. She needs to be saved. Like, what about every other vampire? Why does Elena deserve it more than everybody else? Like, the reason being that she's too much better than everyone morally is like not the vibe. Not the vibe. That was a long rant, but I mean, she's the main character, so we had to dive deep into that one. Next we have April Young. And I'm gonna say kind of suck. Her character's just a little bit annoying. Like, she's a nice girl, but she's just a little bit helpless, a little bit, we're not here for helpless females. We've got Caroline's, we've got Lexi's, we've got Rebecca, we've got Catherine. We're not here for the helpless girl, we're here for the strong female character. Next we have the Uncle John, who actually is Elena's birth father, and he can go into the White Oak Stake Me because ew. He was a creeper, he was not a nice dude, and he was kind of messed up. Next we have Isabel, also White Oak Stake Me. Isabel is Elena's birth mum, and she gave the vibe, honestly, of she wanted to try and be cool and edgy like Catherine, and she tried, and Catherine didn't try, and that's the difference between them. Catherine was cool and edgy because that's her character. Isabella tried to be cool and edgy, horrible mum to Elena, and they try to make these people redeeming, but like there are some things that you don't come back from. Next we have the vampire hunter that first introduced the supernatural being of being a vampire hunter, and he kind of sucks. Like, I don't like him. Next we have Grams. I'm gonna say Grams, is she a yeah, you know what, she's a somewhat slay. Grams is Bonnie's grandma, and she was she was a nan. She was what a nan should be. It was really sad that she died. Next we have Finn. You might be looking at this thinking, who is that? And I thought that too when I looked up the picture. Finn is the 5th Michelson, one of the 5 original siblings, and he's the one that wants to help the mum kill them all because they're so unnatural, and it really was bad having them because they were like, you know, going around and creating hell on earth and killing people. It all fails and he still dies anyway. Oh wait, no, he actually does eventually want to stay alive when he reunites with his long lost love, Sage, but then he dies, so that was sad, and then Sage got really sad about that. But anyway, I'm just gonna say kind of suck because he was just a little bit irrelevant, but he was a nice person, had good intentions, so I'm actually gonna say you're okay. He's okay, but he was just a bit irrelevant. Next we have Emma. Oh my god, oops, I did 2 Rebeccas. We have Emma, which is Rebecca, so we're just gonna put her in somewhat slay because it's Rebecca. Do you know what, we'll put her next to her. Oops, I didn't mean to get both Emma and Cleo's pictures. Where was Ricky, by the way? Next we have Bonnie Bennett, and do you know what, this is going to be a bit controversial, but I'm not a huge Bonnie Bennett fan. I definitely think I liked her more towards the end, but rewatching Vampire Diaries, I was like, wow, she did a lot of problematic things that I'm not here for. For example, absolutely hating Caroline and being a horrible person to Caroline because Caroline got turned into a vampire, and like, vampires are obviously evil and she hates vampires. Caroline was a teenage girl that got attacked and turned into a vampire, and she didn't ask for that. She was freaking out. Her life was kind of flipping upside down at the time, and Bonnie was deciding to be a bitch to her. Like, that is the time where your friend was in a time of need, and you no, that was not okay. So she loses points for that. She has done a lot of good things as well. Do you know what, we're gonna say that Bonnie Bennett, you're okay, you're okay. I do like you, Bonnie, you're a main character, you did a lot of good things, but I'm off you in some things. Like, there were just some things that, no. I just slammed Bonnie, and I do have to say that Bonnie is a good person. I do like her power and how she was strong, and she was a strong, powerful woman. Like, when vampires tried to attack her, she was the only person that had something to one up all of these crazy supernatural beings, and she did have good intention. Next we have a White Oak Stake Me, Caroline's dad, Bill motherfucking Forbes. Bill motherfucking Forbes. They tried to give him a character arc. They tried to fix how bad of a person he was when he was dying. And Caroline, this showed how good Caroline's soul was, because he tried to torture Caroline into stopping being a vampire. Like, that obviously doesn't happen. Imagine if you just tortured a human until they stopped being a human. And then they tried to have this like comeback where he loved her so much, that's why he tortured her, because he wanted to help her. No. And it goes to show how beautiful of a person Caroline is, because she was devastated when he died. Next we have the Professor, White Oak Stake Me. He's like the master manipulator, trying to orchestrate these massacres, manipulating Bonnie, just an all-round sus unit. Then we have Anna, big throwback to season 1. Anna, the teenage vampire that fell in love with Jeremy, and do you know what, somewhat slay. I liked Anna, and I really liked her relationship with Jeremy, and it was really sad when she died. When they died in the fire, I was kind of like, what the heck is happening? Is she going to come back? Like, they bring everyone back. Did she really just die? She kind of slayed. And I really liked how she, even though she was like 1,000 years old, she was still a teenage girl. Like, she still wanted her mum. All she wanted was her mum. She still was like, you know, playful, and just like, do their characters get locked in their age even though they are 1,000 years old? Like, because they stay the same age, do they always mentally stay the same age and emotionally? Because it kind of is a theme here, except Elijah. Anywho, next we have Vicky, White Oak Stake Me. Vicky Donovan was in a lot of episodes for the first season. She really was. And she was just not a vibe. Like, before she became a vampire, she was like the cliche problematic teen that's in her drug era phase. Emo vibes, goth vibes, playing around with the boys' hearts vibes. Next we have Rose. Rose is a slay. She's a somewhat slay. Rose was Damon's friend, and they did have like a friends with benefits relationship, which was kind of cute because like they didn't have to get all whipped over them like all these characters in the show seem to get whipped over each other, especially Elena. And she was just a good human. Even though she was a vampire, she was a good vampire. She was a good person. Damon's friend. It was really sad the way she died. We're going to skip to this last picture while we're on the topic of Rose. In one of the scenes with Rose, you know the scene where they're in that cafe and it's like a vampire cafe because the glass is made of this special material that people without a daylight ring or daylight bracelet, or vampires that don't have a special way to walk in daylight, can still go to the cafe because the double-walled glass or the special glass helps protect them from burning in the sun. If you can hear that my fridge just came alive, it does that a lot. Anyway, this random side character who is so irrelevant, but I just never forget him, who was friends with Rose, was in that cafe scene, I'm pretty sure. And he said that he did 17 university degrees because that's what he's done with his immortal life. And I'm gonna say that he's a somewhat slay, because what's the actual hell? Like, university is killing me, and this guy did 17 degrees. If I was immortal, I would absolutely not be doing that. Actually, who knows what I'd be doing. Okay, next we have Sage, and I'm gonna say Sage is okay. Sage was like a throwback from like the olden days because she's like a really old vampire, and she was like known to like fight men and win because she used her vampire strength, and she was meant to be a bit of a sex symbol icon and Damon's friend. And then yeah, so she was a good person, nothing really major. She did kind of mess up the whole trying to get rid of the originals when they were like slaying the whole world. When I say slaying, I mean like killing, not slaying as in icon slaying, but like aggressively slaying with slashing slaying. She was in love with Finn, and then yeah, messed up all those plans, blah blah blah, boring, we don't care. Next we have the vampire hunter from the Silas Island. I'm gonna call him Vampire Hunter 2 because let's call this dude Vampire Hunter 1. Vampire Hunter 2, he had a Scottish accent, and I'm gonna say that he was okay because basically he was a bit irrelevant. I really like the line when Damon calls him Shrek because of his Scottish accent, and I didn't notice it the first time I watched it, so yeah. Next we have Tyler Lockwood, and I am gonna, ooh, is he a somewhat slay? Do you know what, this is really controversial. I'm kind of gonna say Tyler Lockwood is an icon, partly because I'm running out of room on the somewhat slay tier, and partly because I love that he loves Caroline so much that he broke every bone in his body 100 times so that he could be unside to Klaus for Caroline. He did have quite a bit of character development himself. Like, he did start off as like a bit of an edgy like teenage boy with like a bit of temper issues, but it turns out it's because he has the werewolf gene, and then he becomes a werewolf, and he really has to grow and develop because it's a traumatic thing to be a werewolf, and especially when he doesn't realize everyone else are supernatural, and he suddenly finds out that he's going to go through this traumatic, really horrible, excruciating process each month and turn into a werewolf and then want to kill everyone, and then he really grows as a person. So okay, so I'm gonna give it to him, and he's just lucky that the somewhat slay tier is getting really full. Next we have Pearl, Anna's mum, and she's a somewhat slay. We like Pearl. Oh my gosh, you can put extra in the tier, it just gets bigger. You're lucky I didn't realize that, Tyler. Pearl was a bit of an icon. She wanted to just live her life and cause as little harm as possible, and she was just a great mother figure to Anna. Again, they were probably, in the scheme of life, very close in age. They'd been alive for so long, but they really were just like mother and daughter. We like a little bit of ethnic diversity too. I think they're the only Asians in the show. Next we have Melissa Hastings, and I'm gonna say she's okay. So her name in this is Meredith, and she's like this nice doctor who like uses vampire blood to help cure patients, even though she's a founding family who like are all against vampires. So she is nice, and she was in a relationship with Alaric for a little bit, and they were kind of cute together, so she's okay. Mare Lockwood, and she is a somewhat slay because I love her character development as well. So much character development going on. She started off the series being on the council, the known vampire hating council. Then when she finds out that, you know, Caroline's a vampire, and she tricks her, I think that's, oh, she's the one that got Bill Forbes, Caroline's dad, to torture Caroline because she finds out that Caroline's a vampire. But then she has a big character development when she finds out her own son is a werewolf, and he forces her to watch him transform and go through the pain of transforming, and she realizes maybe being a werewolf or being a vampire doesn't automatically make someone a horrible, evil person. When she did find out Caroline was a vampire, she didn't just kill her instantly, but she tried to get her own family, her own dad, to try and do something about it. Even though it was horrible what he did, she probably didn't realize that. She probably just thought, you know, he was helping her, whereas she could have just gone and staked her and got the whole like council to go and kill her. So she did have like, you know, some bit of her that was like, I can't kill one of the, you know, children that I've watched growing up. And she was redeemable because she ends up teaming up with Liz Forbes and knowing that they only need to be worrying about the bad guys that are trying to kill everyone, not about, you know, anyone who's a vampire, because these teenagers that accidentally got turned into vampires are not at fault. Next we have Sheriff Forbes. Sheriff Forbes, you are going into the icon tier. She, like Maya Lockwood, had a great character transformation, but it was just better. She was just a better person. She was just a better character. We love you, Liz Forbes. Mum vibes. She was just a loving mum. She obviously starts off being like anti-vampire. When she finds out that Caroline's a vampire, she is a bit shocked, a little bit traumatized, but she comes to terms with it because she loves her daughter more than she hates vampires. She loves her daughter more than anything in the world, just like a mother should. She's a great mother, and she also is just like kind of a queen. She and Damon's friendship together, these two, we love it. Liz and Damon, so cute. What a good friendship. All right, we're almost there, guys. Next we have Cole. White Oak Stake Me. He was just like problematic. He's one of the original siblings. He has a good accent. Yeah, anyway, he was just problematic, and it was great when he died. Next we have Silas, the like immortal vampire from the island that wants to have the cure and wants to die and move on. He's in the White Oak Stake Me because he's just messed up and evil. And last we have Stefan Salvatore. I think I'm going to put Stefan into the somewhat slay tier. I like Stefan. He's got a good heart. He does have some character depth because he is, you know, the Ripper when he turns off his humanity and has to work on not being the Ripper. But he's also just a bit bland. He's a little bit vanilla, a little bit just like moody, brooding, meant to be a teenager. Why does he look 30? His whole like epic love with him and Elena, like, where was the chemistry though? I didn't think there was that much chemistry between them. Whereas Damon and Elena, girl, there was chemistry there. Boy, there was chemistry there. There was chemistry there. But I will say they kind of did suit each other because they were kind of both a little bit vanilla. So I'm giving Stefan a somewhat slay, however, because he was a good person. They did make memes and address the fact that he was like moody and brooding, so that made it better. But I do like how he's like, you know, the vegetarian vampire, because he doesn't want to be hurting humans and he doesn't want to go psycho. He wants to be, he has the most humanity out of all the vampires. So it is really interesting when they show the past and they show that actually Damon wasn't the psycho from the start, but Stefan was the Ripper first. Stefan was the one that made Damon turn, that made Damon feed and become a vampire. And it is interesting. So he does have some depth to his character. He is overall a good person. I love his friendship with Lexi, when he always wants to do the right thing. And him and Damon's relationship, Stefan and Damon, we love it. We love their relationship. They are still brothers. They still love each other all the way to the end, even though they literally are dating the same girl, and that's kind of fucked up. And do you know what? Stefan and Caroline have great chemistry. Caroline has really good chemistry with a lot of these characters. So I guess that is the tier done. We've got a lot in the somewhat slay category. We also have a lot of White Oak Stake Me characters that we just aren't here for. And the icons, our icons, Caroline Forbes, Elijah Michelson, Damon Salvatore, Tyler Lockwood, and Sheriff Forbes. I really did not see myself putting Tyler Lockwood in the icon tier. And I really don't know if he does deserve it, but whatever, he's there now. I will say that because there's so many episodes and so much going on, that even though I've watched the last 4 seasons all very recently, I'm actually not finished season 4 just yet. There's a lot that I have forgotten already. It makes it really hard because there's so much going on that I know I probably wouldn't have put all of these people in the same tiers if I had just watched, you know, if I just watched the episode that they were in, or if I'd just seen, do you know what I mean? Like, so much goes on that it's just like, whoa. So I hope that I have given my own personal opinions justice, and I'm sure I've messed up a few, but overall, I think that's okay. I think it's okay. I think I'm happy with this tier. Let me know who your favorite character is. Mine's obviously Damon Salvatore. So let me know in the comments below if you guys agree with this, and if you do disagree, where you think who should go, where you think who should go, where you think who should go. Does that make sense? Like, if you disagree on this person, where do you think they should go? I hope you guys like this video. If you did, please give it a like. If you want to see more Vampire Diaries tier videos, there's honestly so many Vampire Diaries things that will actually have so much fun making, like the costume or like the storylines, because there's just that many iconic storylines, let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye!